let's go. We're on our way. It's time to play Hickory Hideout, Hickory Hideout, Hickory Hideout. This way.
Pam, do you think I should add some more salt?
Yes, Nutso loves everything salty.
Oh, hi, Mark. Hey, what are you bringing to eat?
Nothing.
But everybody's supposed to BYO. Bring your own food, that is. Hey, what kind of present you get for Know-It-Owl?
Nothing, Nutso. I'm short on cash.
Yeah, me too. But I thought I'd just pick up a few acorns around here.
Nobody but you and Shirley wants acorns.
But you can't go to a surprise party empty-handed.
Hey, I've got an idea, but it's kind of risky.
I'm not afraid of anything.
Well, I am. I don't know what anything else to do, but a lot of my friends get away with it.
What are you talking about?
Come on and bring your knapsack.
Okay.
Hey, Shirley? Shirley! Hi.
Hi, Wayne.
Do you have any wrapping paper?
Sure. You can use what I have left over from wrapping my gift.
Oh, thanks.
You haven't seen Nutso, have you?
No.
I'm trying to avoid him. He wants me to lend him money to buy a present for Know-It-Owl.
Oh, he doesn't have to buy him a present. He could make him something.
Oh, that's nice. You got him pencils.
Yeah.
That'll go perfect with my pencil holder. Here's wrapping paper.
Oh, thanks, Cheryl. Oh, I can hardly wait to see Know-It-Owl's new movie starring Cassie and me. You know, we won a golden feather for it.
Golden feather?
Yep, that's the Owl Society's award for movies with an important message.
Wayne, you and Shirley, hurry up. Know-It-Owl's gonna be here any minute.
We're coming right up.
Cassie, come and taste the lemonade. Tell me if I've added too much water.
That's just right. This is great. We've got popcorn and lemonade.
Wow, it looks like everything's ready. Do you think Know-It-Owl has any idea we're giving him a surprise party?
All he knows is that we want to see his movie. Hey, what did you buy, Know-It-Owl?
Pam and I got him erasers, the kind that fit on the end of pencils.
That's great because I got him pencils.
Hey, that's him. Shh.
Here's that video cassette you wanted to see.
Surprise!
Oh, what's all this?
It's a party!
In your honor.
In my honor?
Well, it isn't every day that a friend of ours wins a Golden Feather Award. Let's see it.
Oh, thank you. Oh, how so kind of you. Well, I am rather proud of my achievement. Here, I've got it right here.
Wow, it even has your name printed on it. Know-It-Owl, first place.
Hey, Mark! Mark! Why didn't you wait for me?
I had to get out fast before I got caught.
Oh, boy. I was never so scared in all my whole life. Why'd we do it?
We can't go to the party empty-handed.
But to steal.
Shh, we got out, didn't we?
Yeah, but somebody still could find out.
How?
Well, I don't know. But, I can't stop thinking about stealing. It's wrong.
Oh, come on, scaredy cat. Say, where'd you get Know-It-Owl?
Oh, I got it here. Check that out. Isn't it a beauty?
Our wrists watched. Aren't you thinking owls don't have wrists? Why'd you get him a wristwatch?
It was the easiest thing to pick up. You gonna wrap it up?
Yeah. Say, I got this handkerchief here I can wrap it up with.
Good idea. Wrap it up good.
Okay.
Hey, what'd you get to eat?
Candy bars. My favorite kind.
Yeah?
Yeah. Buzz was standing right next to me when I picked this out and put it in my pocket.
Yeah, you know what? He was standing right next to me when I was at the nut counter.
But he trusts us. We're his friends. He wouldn't think we would steal.
Hey, Mark!
It's a buzz. Let's hide.
Hey, wait, Mark! Hey, wait! Where'd he go? Oh, I'm so late. I hope they didn't start Know-It Owl's movie without me. Know-It Owl's present! I forgot it. I gotta go back to the drugstore.
Oh, boy. Was that scary?
Yeah, I was so scared. But you know, he doesn't know.
Nah. But you know they invited him to the party. I won't be able to look him in the eye.
Let's get up to the hideout quick before they start looking at us.
Yeah, come on.
We'll have to display this trophy in the hideout, Know-It Owl. How about on the shelf?
Here.
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh, it does look good there.
Gee, I'm not too late. You see, I forgot the refreshments I was supposed to bring.
Refreshments? Not till after we see the movie. I'll go put it in the cassette recorder.
We've got the lemonade and the popcorn.
And fresh roasted peanuts.
Whoa!
Where did you get those?
We bought them.
And where did you get the money?
We found $1.
Gee, are you lucky?
What else did you bring, Mark?
Candy bar is my favorite kind.
And we got some bubble gum, too.
You got all this for $1?
Oh, good. Give me a piece.
I bet you spent all your money on food and you didn't buy a present.
Oh, yes, we did. We bought him a present, a great present.
It was hard to pick out.
All right, everyone. Places, places. Tape's rolling. Now, first place winner of the Golden Feather Award. Shoplifting or sticky fingers.
Hello and welcome to Sticky Fingers, a program about shoplifting, produced and directed by Know-It Owl. I'm Cassie, your host. Now, first, what you're about to see is a short make-believe play about shoplifting. Our actors, Wayne and Buzz Buzzsaw, will be acting out the scene.
Beagle Beak.
Remember, what you've just seen really didn't happen. It was a make-believe shoplifting scene starring Wayne and our friend Buzz Buzzsaw, who owns this drugstore and the park. Now let's find out from Buzz Buzzsaw what he would do if somebody really was shoplifting from his store.
Thank you, Cassie. You know, I have a few people who come into my drugstore quite often who try to rip me off, steal from me. If I do catch a shoplifter in my store, there's a couple of things I can do. First, I can ask for the person to give me back the stolen goods, if they're unopened. Or, if they are opened and damaged, I just ask the guilty person to pay for the item.
Oh, here, Buzz. You can have all this stuff back. I felt terrible. Even though I was just pretending, I was scared.
I'm sure most shoplifters are scared, because if you do it often enough, you're bound to get caught.
What else do you do to shoplifters?
I can call the police.
What if they're kids?
That is a good question for a policeman to answer. Cassie?
Lieutenant Cannon, what happens to kids when they're caught shoplifting?
It depends on the store owner. They can be prosecuted, or the store owner can handle it on his own.
Now, when you say prosecute, what do you mean by that?
Prosecuted means that they're taken to the police station by the police department and booked, and at a later date they must appear in juvenile court with their parents.
Shoplifting may seem easy, but if you get caught, you pay the price. This is the end of Know It Owl's film, Sticky Fingers.
That was terrific.
Oh, excellent. Now time for refreshments. Who wants some lemonade?
I'll take a glass.
Pam, please pass me the popcorn bowl.
Ooh, candy bars, my favorite kind. I wanted to steal one of these in the movie, but I was afraid if I did, I would want to eat it. Where'd you get these, Mark?
At the drugstore.
Buzz's?
Yeah.
I never knew before we made that film that Buzz really has those big mirrors all around his store to check for crooks.
And Buzz really does go undercover, wearing a disguise and everything to catch crooks. Once, I saw him dress up like one of those big teddy bears he has in the front of his store. You couldn't even tell he was there.
Oh, no. And as mean as Buzz gets sometimes, I bet he sends those crooks to prison, where the big rock piles are, and they have to pound big rocks into itsy bitsy teeny ones.
Oh, no, Shirley, but first they have to go to court, where the jury finds them guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
All this talk is making me hungry for a candy bar. I'm going to eat one right now.
Don't touch those. We'll return to Hickory Hideout after these messages. Now back to Hickory Hideout.
What's wrong? I thought you brought the candy for the party.
They're stale.
Oh, how do you know that? You haven't even opened them yet.
Don't do that. I have to take them back. Oh, too late.
Well, these are great. Why do you want to take them back?
Shirley, spit those out.
What?
They might make you sick.
No, they're great. Hey, here, Pam, try one.
It's time for Know It Owl to open up his presents. Know It Owl, come up here.
I'm getting out of here.
Don't leave me here alone.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late.
No, it's Buzz Buzzsaw.
Oh, yes, Buzz Buzzsaw. Say, Mark, I saw you earlier in my store.
You did?
Yeah, then I saw you down in the park talking to Nutso, but you disappeared.
Buzz, you missed the whole movie.
I know. I got all the way here and I forgot Know It Owl's present. But I'm glad I went back to the drugstore because I caught a shoplifter.
What do you do when you catch a shoplifter?
Well, you see, I caught this little lady once before. Now, you wouldn't think that a nice little old lady would shoplift. But I had to call the police. She's gonna be eating bread and water.
What do you mean?
Oh, that's just an expression, which means she is going to have to go to jail.
Gee, it really does happen, just like in our movie.
And the problem is it happens too often. Too many people shoplift. Where is that bird? I can't thank him enough for making this movie. I hope it'll teach everybody that shoplifting is a crime.
Oh, he's rewinding the tape. I'd offer you a candy bar, but Mark doesn't want to share.
Oh, well, then I'll just have some of your lemonade here.
I'll have some of that lemonade too there. What's this? Gifts? For whom?
They're for you, Know-It-All, to help you make better and more movies.
Yes, and speaking of movies, I've got a terrific idea for the next one. It should star this very good-looking guy who owns a drugstore and a park.
Let's open the presents first. Know-It-All, open ours first, please.
Oh, certainly. Would you help me with it there, Pam?
Sure.
Okay.
No, this is exciting.
It's like Christmas here.
Oh, my! Erasers! Why, thank you, Pam and Cassie.
I didn't have time to wrap this. I'm sorry. It's a notebook.
Oh, thank you, Buzz. I can always use a notebook.
Yeah, now, about this movie that I thought about, the opening scene should star this very handsome leading man, which is myself, of course.
Excuse me,
And he
Mr.
goes off
Buzzsaw. Excuse me, but we haven't finished with the presents yet.
Oh.
Here's my Know-It-All.
Oh, good. Oh, pencils! Just what I needed. Thank you, Wayne.
And there's my gift. Oh, I made it myself.
Oh, Shirley. What fine craftsmanship. Why, thank you. It's very beautiful.
Well, there's only one more present left, Mark and Nutso.
All right, Know-It-All, here it is, the final gift.
I'm sick. I'm getting out of here.
Oh, well, see you later, buddy. What's in here now?
Oh, my.
What a beautiful present.
A wristwatch.
Digital quartz.
Say, do you know that a watch of this quality in my store would sell for, I don't... This looks exactly like the kind of watch I sell in my store.
Where could they get money for a watch like this one?
Do you think he'll recognize the watch? Oh, how could I let you talk me into this?
Hey, I didn't talk you into anything. You said you wanted to come along. You said you weren't afraid of anything. But listen, Nutso, we have to return everything.
But we can't. It's just like in the movie. It's all damaged goods. Oh, Wayne and Shirley, those pigs, they ate up all the stuff. And now we're going to have to go to jail. They're going to put us behind bars with nothing but bread and water to eat.
Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what is your verdict on Nutso and Mark?
Guilty.
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 Oh, you've heard the verdict of the jury. I now sentence you to jail.
Not jail. Why did we ever do it?
All right, you two. Hard labor. You keep pounding those rocks.
Well, what about lunch?
Oh, I almost forgot. Here's your breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, cold bread, and not even nut bread.
What about the water?
Oh, yeah, the water. That's more than you deserve for stealing from my store.
Oh, please, Mr. Buzzsaw, we'll never steal anything again.
Please let us out of here. Hickory Hideout will return after these messages. And now, back to Hickory Hideout. Please let us out of here.
Bread and water. Bread and water.
Not so. What's wrong? What's wrong?
I must have been daydreaming. Oh, Mark, I dreamt that Buzz caught us. Oh, you sent us to jail. We were on this big rock pile, see, and we had to wear these striped suits. Oh, it was awful. I feel awful. You know we're going to get caught. They're going to find out.
Yeah, I think it's time we should turn ourselves in, take our punishment.
Okay, you go first.
No, you go first.
No, you go first.
No, you go first.
You're bigger, you go first.
No, you go first.
Oh, dear. This watch. It's a wonderful present, but...
But not for an owl. They just didn't think, did they?
Well, maybe they were in kind of a hurry when they picked it out.
Or picked it up. I hate to say this, but they were acting pretty strangely today. I mean, bringing all those treats for the party and then not letting anybody eat them.
And they left before Know-It-All had a chance to open all his presents.
And I know Nutso didn't have any money because he asked to borrow from me just this morning.
Oh, you know, this watch looks awful familiar to me. Of course, I'd have to check the serial number at the store, but I'm sure it came from my store because Mark and Nutso were in there earlier this morning.
Oh, Cassie, you don't think that.
I do think that. That's why they left in such a hurry.
I think their sticky fingers have begun to itch with all this talk about shoplifting.
It's hard to believe. Nutso and Mark, shoplifters. They're thieves.
Why would they do it?
Well, we know they didn't have any money, and they wanted to be a part of the party, so they just took the easy way out.
But I'm their friend. I mean, I didn't expect a gift from them. I would have understood.
Oh, I think a lot of people do things without thinking.
Don't eat that! That belongs to me. And that's even paid for yet. And they're going to have to learn how to pay for it somehow.
Well, what are you going to do to them, Mr. Buzzsaw?
Well, I've got some ideas.
Buzz, listen, before you do anything, let me talk to him alone.
All right? And I'll just gather up all the evidence. Huh?
No, you go first.
No, you go
Hey,
first.
you're missing all the party. We just finished opening up all the presents.
All the presents?
Yeah, that was a real nice gift that you bought for Know-It-Owl. It must have taken you a long time to pick it out. Is something wrong?
No.
No.
Yes.
Does it have something to do with the party?
Yes.
Yes.
You know, don't you?
I think I do, but I don't understand why.
Well, we didn't mean to do it. I mean, it was there, and we didn't have any money, and no one was looking.
You see, Buzz trusts us. We can't go to the party empty-handed.
Why?
Well, because everybody was bringing something.
But listen, we're your friends. If you don't have any money, you tell us. We'd understand.
And we never thought we'd get caught. But now, all of you know. I'm so ashamed.
You must think we're crooks, but I guess that's what we really are. Crooks. I feel awful, but I'm ready to turn myself in.
Yeah, get the handcuffs.
Now, I don't know what Buzz is going to want to do with the two of you, but I do think that it's good that you're ready to admit that you've made a mistake.
Mr. Buzzsaw, are you going to put us in jail? Are you going to feed us nothing but bread and water?
Not if you return everything.
But we already thought of that. But a lot of the stuff is damaged.
Or in Shirley's stomach. You know, all those fresh roasted peanuts.
Well, you got to pay for them somehow.
But we don't have any money.
Yeah, that's the reason we stole in the first place.
Okay, you two. Come with me.
Let's see, 7 candy bars, half a pound of roasted nuts. You gave back the wristwatch, so I figure if you both work for me every day after school for 2 weeks, well, that's the price you have to pay for having sticky fingers. And remember, if you ever steal from me again, I won't be this easy on you.
Don't worry, that'll never happen again.
Just in case you've got sticky fingers, stop and think about what that means. Sticky fingers can stick to something that they shouldn't, so it seems that sticky fingers need a washing. Sticky fingers aren't much fun. Sticky fingers make for trouble. Put those sticky fingers on the run. Just because no one's looking doesn't mean that it's okay to help yourself to something that you see in a store display. Taking what's not yours to take is stealing, plain and true. That's what sticky fingers means, and that is what they do. Sticky fingers need a washing. Sticky fingers aren't much fun. Sticky fingers make for trouble. Put those sticky fingers on the run.